Tennessee Tech head coach John Pelphrey getting ready to begin his season at Tennessee Tech. Coach, just give us some general thoughts on you and your team, and then we'll go into some questions.
Well, we're certainly very excited. It's always an amazing time of year. This is kind of what we work for. Once the previous season's over with, go through recruiting. You work in the summertime to get your team together, start getting organized, developing your team, um, getting them acquainted with each other, because there's always a lot of roster turnover, but also with how you want to play the game, establishing identities, developing roles, developing relationships, letting young men understand that this is about leadership, ball, and professionalism, and that the greater the love in the locker room, the greater the team. So we are very excited. We have enjoyed practice. It's been competitive. I think this is the most coachable group that we've had since we've been here, which is exciting as a coach. That gives you really good energy. Certainly should be coachable up to this point in time because we haven't played a game yet. And so nobody's had to sit on a bench and sacrifice playing time. But it's been really good so far. I think we were able to address a lot of things in recruiting that we find important: shooting, basketball IQ, leadership, things that we value, and excited to take on these challenges that are coming our way.
Thanks, Coach. Let's go to some questions then. We'll begin with Ben. Whatever you got, Ben, fire away.
All right, Coach. First things first. The poll come out this morning, and you guys come in, I believe, at the bottom. Just tell me what are some of your thoughts on the poll. And just what are some of your thoughts on the poll?
Well, I don't think these preseason polls are worth the paper they're written on. If we are finished first, I would love it if we could hang a banner. If Mark Wilson would give me a bonus for winning the preseason award, but that's not going to happen. I think a couple years ago, we were picked in a similar position, and we ended up finishing second and losing in the conference championship game in overtime. So it doesn't really affect me. One thing that will happen, you can rest assured this will happen, that my players will know about this. It will be used for if there is any reason for us to have extra motivation, it certainly will be used in that way. But it'll be a very competitive conference, good coaches, good players. Not sure how anybody knows who's got what these days, but I guess we have to do that for the media. I have to do that for the fans. And it at least gives you a question to ask me right off the bat.
Right, yeah. And you kind of alluded to it earlier with the roster turnover. It's like how can anyone know what we have because there's so much turnover year in and year out. Can you just, kind of go into a little bit more detail about what your team looks like this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah, I think we've got some really good pieces back for us. Kyle Layton and Daniel Abunaway played in every game last year, two first-year players for us. They did a great job. They're about what we're about. They have character. They're competitive. They value leadership. They sacrifice and serve in the community. They're everyday guys. They come every single day. Some guys that didn't get to play last year because of injury, Grant Slatton, Grant Strong, David Craig, Rodney Johnson did get a chance to play some for us last year, but he had flu 3 times and a couple of other injury issues. It was in and out of our lineup. All these young men have done very, very well in our summer and our preseason. And they kind of know how we want to operate. I think they've done a really good job of leading and communicating and valuing relationships with the new players that are coming in. So that's good. As I briefly mentioned earlier to you, because of how college basketball is today, there's just not a lot of returning players. There's not a lot of development, or it's not the same development. It's not a 2 and 3 year process. it is a 2 to 3 month, maybe 6. But we haven't been together 6 months yet. We didn't get our whole team together until after July 4th. And after July 4th on a Monday, 6 guys woke up with COVID. So I think we end up having like 8 practices with everybody together in the summertime. It's crazy. All the things you have to deal with as a college basketball coach. So we started practice basically in September, and we're going to play a basketball game, exhibition game, on the 22nd of October. That's not a lot of time to put your team together and get organized, but it's enough. And we're not the only one that has to deal with that type of situation. But what it does, it makes you acutely aware of time. So when you don't have a lot of it, you've got to teach well. You got to listen and learn well. And you got to do your job so well that once you are able to be trusted with that, your role and your responsibilities, now you're able to start helping somebody else do their job. And that's what a great player is. He becomes a leader. He's able to help others do their job. The 2 things, though, we really try to focus on in recruiting outside of leadership and academics is shooting the basketball. We really want to put a focus on that. So we feel like we've been able to address that, and that's hopefully will be a strength of ours. We also wanted to get guys that had a positive assist turnover ratio, 2 to 1, from wherever they were the previous stop. That indicates to us that they have a basketball IQ. They understand what's going on. They understand how to play the game. It's certainly important in our sport to understand what to do on the basketball court. So we're going to lean heavily on those 2 things and challenge our guys and put them under as much stress and challenging situations in practice, and because that's what it's going to be like in the games for them.
And I notice, as the years go by, you just keep adding more and more local talent. Got Colin Ayers on the team now. Just talk to me about some of your local guys. Do you like recruiting locally? Like, just talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, I think, recruiting is such a priority. Also, we want to do a great job in our area. The Upper Cumberland, we're fortunate to have some good players. We'd like to keep those guys home. Certainly the state of Tennessee does an unbelievable job. Great high school coaches, great players in this state. So certainly that's important for us. It just so happens right now that we do have not 4, but 5 guys. 5 guys from the Upper Cumberland. You have Grant Slatton from Sparta. You have Grant Strong from Salina. You have the 2 young men from Cookville High School, Colin Ayers and Josh Hurd. But you've also got Matthew Sells from Rickman, who is from Livingston. So I think it's really, really important that everybody understand that.
Oh, absolutely. And I got to cover all those guys in high school. So my eyes light up when I see stuff like that. So anyway, just I guess my final question, and I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but what are some of your overall goals and expectations for the season?
Oh, our goal is to have one of the best seasons of school history. That is the goal. I believe we are 100, and Cal may be able to help me with this. Cal, what are we, 123 days from the championship game? We are a week away or less than from our first exhibition game. We are acutely aware of time. It's also 70 days to Christmas. So just in case you need another time frame for you. But yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to have one of the best seasons in school history.
143 days till.
I had it wrong. I was off. I knew it was 1 and a 3. I had it wrong, Cal. I apologize.
I had to Google it till March. That's till championship game at the OVC tournament.
Yep.
So
we wake up every single day and our players are aware of that. So that's a lot of time, but it's not a lot of time.
We talked about players change, other teams in the league change. Does the league style change? Is like one year the OVC this, and then this year it's that based on players, or is it basically somewhat similar year to year?
Say that again. I'm not sure I understood the question.
Is the OVC like, if it's a defensive league or it's a scoring league, it's a guard league, does that style change as a whole every year, or with the players, or is every year like unique? I don't know if there's something that the league is known for, the people you're playing.
You know what? That's a good question. I think that you're always going to find good guard play in this league. You're going to find really good coaching. And the good guard play will primarily be done by small guys, right? We've seen those guys, the Freemans, the young man from SEMO a couple years ago, Junior Clay. We had a guy, Brett Thompson. Southern Indiana had a young man that left that went to Indiana State that was an outstanding player. Like, you're going to find guard play. And sometimes they'll come in small packages, right? We're not going to get the SEC type physicality. You might on occasion, maybe a guy, I think Latham was a pretty physical guy last year for a guard. So we're always going to get good guard play, and the thing may end up being a little bit small at times out there, playing some small ball. Although that's not limited to our league, by the way. That's kind of basketball. But I'll tell you, I think the thing that I was surprised by last year is, and I think it was more so than even when Murray was in the league and Belmont was in the league, and Eastern Kentucky, like we had really good bigs in the league last year. Morehead State obviously had Riley Mennings and a couple other guys there up front. So rebounding was a priority for them on the offensive glass. They killed us both times. That really was kind of like the great separator in the game with Morehead last year. Little Rock had a huge basketball team up front. And UT Martin had a dominant front court player. And it's ironic that those three teams were the three best teams in our league. So I think that was a little bit different than maybe the year before, because you found ourselves in SEMO in the championship game a couple years ago, and we were playing with Deontay Wood there, who was 6'3", 6'4", and SEMO had a slightly bigger guy, but I think they were only 6'6".
Got a couple more minutes for Coach. If anybody's got any questions, let me know down in the chat. Tell us about your schedule, how it came together, what you're looking forward to in the non-conference portion before we get into league play.
I want to make some progress there. I want to have a chance to get good, win some games. We made progress last year. I think we won one more game than we had since we've been here. But I still think there's more. I really, really do. So even though a lot of times our non-conference is really challenging for us because we are kind of generating some funds, some finances, there's still some opportunities to get wins. I think it'll be a little bit more challenging this year to do that because we're playing more conference games now, so it takes away a little bit from your non-conference. Non-conference at this level is super challenging because you're going to play more road games than you are home. But again, I think that there's an opportunity still for us to make growth. So we're very, very focused on trying to get organized, trying to play good basketball, not to beat ourselves, to put us in a situation to have more success than we've ever had here in non-conference play.
You have some home and homes too, and I know you've done that before, West Georgia, North Alabama. Is that helpful then? Because you're obviously getting a home game and going on the road. I guess it's maybe as only as helpful as how good the opponent is too, right? If they're really good, that doesn't help you out. But what's it like to play that home and home with a team in the same season?
It's just hard getting non-conference games, Kyle. You know this. We've talked about this quite a bit. And at this level, it's super challenging. And because you've got different things going on. It can be done, but it just needs to be something that everybody's going to understand. There's just challenges, right? It's our league, 1. It's geographics, 2. It's finances, 3. And we've got differences of opinions about how to go get those things done. We can raise money. We can play some good home and homes. We also can play some games that we probably need to win, which those are getting harder and harder to find. Unfortunately for us, we already had a couple of these games scheduled when the league allowed us to play an extra non-1 game. That'd been nice to know, Kyle, if we got that done a little bit sooner. But yeah, I think it is interesting fact. We had North Alabama here twice. It's a little bit of a NBA type thing, whatever. And we'll have that same experience again this year.
Anybody else? Anything for Coach? We're going to end on this then. Tell me one thing. I want you to brag about Tennessee Tech as a whole, like university, athletics, everything outside basketball, just something great about the university, maybe something the outsiders don't know that makes it such a great place to be.
Well, first and foremost, it's our leadership. Dr. Oldham is committed to athletics. He's certainly committed to men's basketball. We're so appreciative of him. He made it possible for us all to be here, honestly. Mark Wilson has a great relationship with myself and with Dr. Oldham. And that is super important to me, the head coach. I wasn't getting back in leadership unless I felt like I could be in alignment. So first and foremost, for me here, it's an honor and blessing to work with these guys because we're all connected on how we want to go about doing this and how we want to make this happen. I think the thing that continues to blow me away and makes me feel really good about our decision as a family to come here is not only the alignment that I have and the relationship I have with my bosses and the opportunity they're providing me, and also these student athletes and their families to be a part of college basketball and get a really good degree. We have a great community. This is a big time place to live. It is only getting better and better. And I have made a concerted effort here over the last year or so because we got all this COVID nonsense behind us to a certain degree, of helping us establish a relationship with our community. Our community, our businesses, our leadership in the community, these people are working really, really hard to make Cookeville even better than it is. And I admire that. I respect that because that's the same thing we're trying to do. We're trying to develop young men to become the best leaders they can be. And we're trying to have a basketball team that can be as good as it can be and be competitive in college basketball. And college basketball is the ultimate competitor. There's probably not enough, we'll probably never be a part of anything this elite in terms of competition, but it's a lot like life. Life is constantly throwing tests and challenges at you. And so I just got a lot of respect for where we work and live and very, very proud of that. And we are making tremendous strides here in terms of partnering up with our community to make it even better than it is.
Well, that's perfect, Coach. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and best of luck to you and your team this season.
Thank you.